Now you might be wondering what my advice is in regards to which version of the new Puma Future 4.1 you should buy. Well, to quote some famous lyrics from Lil Jon, get low, get low, get low, get low, to the window, to the wall, to the sweat, drop down my balls. What's going on, guys? Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the brand new Puma Future 4.1 Low in the launch Anthem Pack colorway, the $200 low-cut variant of the brand new Future that is not only cheaper than the mid-cut version, but I would argue actually better. Why is it better, you might ask? Well, I think mainly for comfort reasons, but there are some other upsides to the low-cut version over the mid-cut version that I also want to talk about in this video. Not to mention the low-cut version in particular actually shares a lot in common with the low-cut version of the now discontinued Nike Hypervenom Phantom 3 Elite that I know a lot of people are unhappy about not being available anymore. So if you had Hypervenom Phantoms, maybe this might be your next boot. If you want to learn more about them, including how they fit and feel on feet, please stick around, watch the whole video, and if you're interested in a pair for yourself, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below. That's going to take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $200 retail price. If you guys do end up enjoying this video, and perhaps would like to see more reviews, perhaps even comparisons of other Puma boots, don't forget to support this one with a like, and if you're new here watching for the first time and don't want to miss out on daily content from me, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. So included with the boots is a box, and inside that box you get nothing other than an extra set of gray laces to go along with the orange ones already on the boots. As for the Future 4.1 itself, this is obviously the new model. We just got a Future 19.1 6 months ago, but this is the replacement. It's more of a slight update though, rather than a complete redesign. Either way, there are two variations of this new Future. A low-cut model that's going to run you $200 and a mid-cut variation that is $20 more expensive with a retail price of $220. You might look at this as kind of like a Mercurial Vapor, Mercurial Superfly situation, but it's not quite that because the construction in the heel, obviously one has a collar and one does not, is completely different between the two, where I would actually argue that the low-cut design fits a little bit better and is a little bit more comfortable. The reason why I say that is because the low-cut model features a much more traditional construction through the heel, which allows for a little bit more padding, which most of the time, definitely in this situation, I think allows for slightly better comfort. It also has a more contoured shape to it, where it's kind of more rounded and almost cups your ankle more closely versus what seems to be kind of a straight up and down profile that you have in the heel area of the mid-cut version. Not to say that those are uncomfortable, but I definitely think when you have it side by side with this boot, the low-cut version just feels a little bit better. And the heel counter is still fully internal, as you would find on the mid-cut version anyways. So for me, saving the extra 20 bucks and actually getting a boot that is slightly better fitting and slightly more comfortable through the rear, I think is the way to go. So aside from the design in the heel area, everything else about this boot is the same as the mid-cut variation, but as a low, this boot reminds me a lot of the low-cut version of the Hypervenom Phantom 3 that obviously has been replaced by the Phantom Venom Elite, the unofficial Hypervenom Phantom 4, but side by side, especially considering that these both have knitted uppers with a 3D texturing, they're a lot more similar than you might expect. The most significant change coming from the Future 19.1 that this replaces is the new 3D Havoc frame texturing. It's still an Evo knit base, but you'll notice that the texturing is now this kind of geometric pattern, these shapes, rather than that shriveled skin look that a lot of people were not big fans of. I would argue this feels a little bit better. The texturing is certainly a lot more noticeable in terms of feel on the ball, but it still has kind of a harder texture than I would personally like from a pair of football boots, and especially when compared to the Flyknit upper found on the Hypervenom Phantom 3. If we're comparing these two directly, the Hypervenoms are just a lot softer, and I would argue offer a slightly better touch on the ball, but in terms of being the closest thing to that outgoing Hypervenom, this would be it. Something that is unique to this boot though is the gritty texturing that you have on the surface of the upper. All of these little bump outs have this kind of hard glue texture to them, which does offer some additional grip on the ball. It's also worth noting that all of the bump outs are a legitimate 3D texturing, so if you run your hand along the inside of the upper, you can actually feel all of these little shapes bumped out from the underside. So when you make contact with the ball, while it feels a little bit firm to the touch, it does have this slight dampened sensation to it because the upper is physically compressing. It's not sitting directly against your foot. As far as the thickness of the upper is concerned, it's on the thinner side, but because it has such a hard texturing, it doesn't necessarily feel like a true barefoot sensation, I would argue. And then of course, running through the midfoot area, you're gonna find more of that Evo knit material making up the net fit system that is no longer an actual net, instead just holes in a knitted upper, allowing you to customize the lacing system to your liking, which is a feature that I think is really cool and legitimately does work. It's one of the main reasons why you would want to buy a Puma Future. I think if you're one of those people that has a hard time getting the boots to fit you exactly the way that you want, having that extra adjustability because of this net fit system where you can add tightness in certain spots on the foot and make them a little bit more stretchy in certain spots, this is a system and a technology that I think Puma has done a really good job with. With the proper lacing setup for your foot, I really do feel like this offers a more responsive feel than the already very responsive Hypervenom Phantom 3, which is pretty impressive. And for those that will ask about wearing the Future 4.1 Low as laceless boots, you can get away with it, but I wouldn't say that it feels particularly good. I think the mid-cut variation is maybe a little bit better suited for doing that, but either way, I think if you're buying the Future 4.1 low cut or mid cut, use the laces, you're gonna get the best fit, feel, comfort, and performance out of the boots. It's also worth noting that despite being a low cut construction, the upper still features a one-piece design where you're gonna find this elasticated Evo knit material in pretty much the same pattern as the mid cut variation running across the top of the foot, but obviously it ends very abruptly due to that low cut design. The insoles are fully removable and pretty straightforward for Puma, a synthetic suede lining on top. They're made from a single layer of red foam with some perforated yellow foam inserts in the forefoot and heel. Nothing spectacular, but they get the job done. Moving to the base, this is the one element of the Future that hasn't changed since it was first introduced 2 years ago. It features a P-Bax material for the overall construction. It has a nice solid feel to it and actually some decent thickness for a modern pair of football boots. I would say a good amount of stiffness through the forefoot, not too flimsy, but not too stiff either. And then really good rigidity with the spine that you have through the midfoot and just good structure through the heel as well. As far as the stud pattern is concerned, it is their FGAG layout for the Puma Future lineup that features mostly conical studs that, while they might seem kind of traditional, they're fairly long and fairly narrow in profile, so they provide a lot more bite and just dig into the ground a lot more aggressively than you might expect. So traction, I would say, is top notch, and then it utilizes some bladed support studs at the base of the forefoot as well as the base of the heel. So traction, I would say, is above average, although better suited for ground that is a little bit on the softer side. For hard ground, I think that the studs are just a little bit too long, and for use on artificial grass, I've used this sole plate and stud patterns on an AG surface plenty of times. Again, I think if the surface is a little bit more shallow, it's less than ideal, but as long as it's a higher quality artificial grass, you shouldn't have too many issues. And then when it comes to weight, you'd expect the low cut version to be a little bit lighter, and it is, but not by much. In a size 9.5 US, the Future 4.1 Low weighs in at 7.3 ounces, the equivalent of 207 grams, which is technically 0.2 ounces less than the mid-cut variation, less than 10 grams, a very, very small amount of weight that you're just not going to be able to notice on your feet. Either way, mid or low, the new Puma Future is nice and light. Now I know what you're thinking, both boots have the same color laces, but they're not quite the same. These are the stock orange ones that are actually a slightly darker orange than all the other oranges on the boots, and I've swapped them for some Orange Punch Reflective SR4U replacement laces, which are actually a better match, and they add the reflective bits, making them just a little bit different from everyone else with the same boots. So if you're looking for a very inexpensive way to change up the style of your boots, even if it's just a slight change, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description. So if you're interested in some, be sure to go ahead and check that out. On feet, the big difference that you'll notice between the Future 4.1 mid and low is that the low just fits tighter through the heel. It's maybe cut a little bit more narrow, and like I said, it seems to be more contoured to actually fit the shape or match the shape of your heel rather than just kind of being rounded along the outside and then just straight up and down. So I really prefer the way that these feel in that regard. The base shape of the boot and the way that the boot fits everywhere else is pretty well exactly the same. The upper itself, while being knitted, does have a little bit of a firmer feel out of the box, but does soften up pretty significantly after a little bit of wear time. Still never feels quite as sock-like as some of the other knitted uppers out there, but still comfortable nonetheless. And then with that net fit system, which I have kind of customized on my right foot, allowing for a little bit more grab in the upper on the lateral side and then slightly less grab on the medial side, mainly because I'm slightly flat-footed. Just allow for a little bit more expansion in the lower part of the upper. Just makes the boots feel that much more comfortable and that much more made exactly for my feet. It's one of the best features of the Puma Future. As far as width is concerned, they have a snug fit. The slightly firmer upper doesn't necessarily allow for much in the way of stretch, but I definitely think that they will be wide enough for most people. So as long as you don't have super wide feet, these should fit you just fine. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you're looking to get a pair for yourself, I would recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, as we went over at the start of the video, I think if you're on the market for the Future 4.1 and trying to decide between the mid and the low, I would personally recommend the low. I think it's a little bit more comfortable. I think it fits a little bit better through the heel, and it's $20 less expensive. So unless you absolutely must have a collar on your football boots, buy the low-cut version. As far as how the Future 4.1 compares to the now discontinued Hypervenom Phantom 3 Elite, I have to be honest with you guys, given the choice between these two, I would still prefer the Hypervenom, but that's mainly down to the fact that I just like the softer feel to the upper. I think there are plenty of people that would actually prefer the feel of the Future 4.1, and as I said in my review of the mid, I still feel for a knitted upper that it's a little bit on the harder side, just not as soft as it should be, but like I said, the responsiveness is great. The adjustability and customizability that you get with the net fit system I think is top notch, and I think this is one of the more underrated sole plates and stud patterns on the market. So as an overall product, especially considering the $200 retail price, which is a lot less than a lot of other top-end models out there right now, I think the Future 4.1 Low is actually one of the most underrated football boots on the market right now. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, you can click the first link down below. That's going to take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $200 retail price. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comment section, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.